Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Leader in You playlist here on YouTube. My name is Angelo Caruso, and as always, if you like these types of tips and they're helping you, please subscribe to this channel so that we can notify you of new videos as they're posted. Last week in episode 4, we talked about this concept that leaders are not only able to change the rules, they're almost obligated to change the rules because that's what allows you to maintain a competitive edge. It allows you to practice disruptive marketing, and perhaps most importantly, changing the rules keeps your team interested in the work and what's going on. So this week we're going to talk about another very important concept, and that is what to do when you find yourself with a team who is perhaps untalented. Sometimes we, as managers and leaders, we inherit an untalented team. Sometimes we work with them for a while and then come to the ugly realization that the current talent does not have the skills necessary to deliver the results that we must have. If we want to honor our customers, if we want to honor and maintain market share, we're going to have fresh talent and new people to get this done. We'd love to get those people from inside the team, but sometimes we have to go outside the team. And all these issues, of course, cause various degrees of problems with the team itself. So one of the things that makes this untalented team scenario so difficult is there are a lot of false beliefs about teams and how to cultivate talent within those teams. One false belief is that if you train your team, right, if you establish leadership succession and you train your team members, spend money, invest time in it, that they will leave you. And while that is true, some people will leave. It's far better to train your team and try to get them to stay than it is to not train them. There's only one thing worse than training team members and having them leave, and that is training them and not training them and having them stay, right? So we always want to have a training system in place to cultivate talent and keep people interested in the team. The second premise that's really difficult is that we are often given leadership tools that are ineffective. For example, job descriptions are notoriously problematic for leadership. They create false premises all the time, and you can learn more about this in episode 6 of this playlist. That's why we suggest if you're going to be a leader, you should be a coach rather than a boss. I got a great reminder of this recently. I got an email from a basketball coach who gave me a lot of credit, and I don't know if I deserve it, but he gave me a lot of credit for the fact that his team has won consecutive championships now, annual championships. And the way he explained it to me, I'm like reading this like, what? I helped you win basketball championships? How is that? And I found out through his email that he had been delivering and sharing my leadership messages, my personal presentation messages to his team. And the way he explained it to me was that every team does basketball drills, but only his team was learning personal confidence as a result of my content, which he was sharing with them at the beginning of every practice. So by acting like a coach, more than just a basketball coach, but maybe a personal enrichment coach, he found that it improved their basketball game and delivered championships. So I was pretty happy about that, and he's pretty happy as well. So coaching is better than bossing everybody. That's another thing, right? Everybody thinks that if they're the boss, they have to be a hard ass all the time, the disciplinarian. And while that may be true to some extent, if that's your only role and that's how your employees think of you, it's not going to be good news for you in the long run. So we want you to coach and develop leadership succession. And we used to laugh about this, you know, when you used to go into 7-Eleven and there'd only be 2 employees and one of them would wear a name badge that said assistant manager, right? But it turns out that title is worth something. And if people think that the job has, you know, a future for them, or they have a future in that job, it becomes a really important mindset for people who are on the team. Most leaders, by the way, never get to know their team members. We now know through research that people perform best when they know that the leader cares about them. So we want you to ask questions like, what does your customer service representative's father do for a living, right? Where is your accounts receivable manager in their sibling birth order? These are things that you can find out that help you understand a person and therefore relate to that person much better than you could with any sort of boss script, right? So you want to promote people from within, but what if you just don't have that kind of talent? Or what if you get surprised down the road that they're not promotable? Well, then you must get new team members. And when you do that, you have to make sure the team understands why you went to the outside. Otherwise, they'll hold it against you. So you want to work hard to properly have the team aware of what the situation is, aware of the fact that nobody on the team seems to have that internal talent, and continually groom them for that position, maybe even while simultaneously hiring somebody from the outside. If you do hire somebody from the outside, you want to make sure that you properly onboard that person and use complimentary introductions, right? When you introduce the new person to the old team member, make sure that you compliment the old team member and don't treat them like yesterday's news, right? And make sure when you introduce the new team member that you introduce them with their proper skill set. Use positive adjectives when you onboard people so that everybody knows who they're talking to and why the introduction was necessary. So you want to acknowledge talent on your team no matter what's happening. And remember this above and beyond all else, that the team usually improves right after the leader does. You know, there's an old saying that if you want to build a ship, don't ask your people to organize teams and collect wood. Just keep telling them about the boat ride. So, there should be a waiting list for people who want to work on your team. Let's get that going. Next week in episode 6, we're going to talk about tools that don't necessarily help you as a leader or as a manager. If you'd like to do a deeper dive on any of these management tips, management strategies, make sure you go to my website and check out the blog. You can copy-paste content there to your newsletter, to your meetings if you want to share this information with your teams. I just ask that you provide attribution and mention my name once in a while. That would be great. Otherwise, it's free content. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you again soon.